Today, I have a very serious subject to bring forward, and it is with a very heavy heart that I share on January 1st, 2026. I was fired from my job. Some of you are hearing that and going, "Oh no, my God, I'm so sorry." Some of you are hearing that and maybe scratching your head, going, "I kind of thought she was self-employed. I've been under the impression that Caitlin had her own business." Well, all of you are freaking right. I do own my own business. I am the sole employee of my company, and I am also the boss. So yes, if you're finally putting the pieces together, you're correct. I fired myself on January 1st of 2026, and here's why it's the best decision that I've ever made in my life.
Welcome to The Walking Trophy. The Walking Trophy is a podcast for high-level entrepreneurs and performers who know they were built for more. On this podcast, we explore how movement, fitness, and embodied discipline sharpen your leadership, regulate your nervous system, and expand your capacity to create, serve, and lead at the highest level. Through conversations on performance, energetics, and purpose-driven success, this show reframes the body as your greatest asset for sustainable power, abundance, and impact. Welcome to The Walking Trophy.
It's 2026, guys, and there is no chance in the world that I'm going to be any less tongue-in-cheek than I was the year before. Sorry, the personality ain't going nowhere, but the job, it is. So here's the thing. I love to do an audit of 2025 going into 2026. It is an exercise I got from Lexi Gigi. She is a how do I describe this queen? She does a lot of astrology. Me and my best friend Charlie love doing her moon, like new moon and full moon meditations, her journal. She is my go-to astrology gal. I love her. You can find her on social media. I have no correlation to her, never spoken to her before, but I'm going to give her the biggest plug in the world right now. She gave me the idea for an audit. And this was based around a moon, but I decided to do it based around 2025 and 2026. And essentially, I did an audit of how 2025 went in terms of my habits, my behaviors, my actions, the way that I was showing up, the way that I was bringing myself forward every day. And then I followed that with in 2026, assuming I'd already achieved all of the massive goals that I'd set for the year. Whoops, sorry, I just banged on my microphone. Assuming I achieved all of the goals that I had set for 2026 and the version of me that I had to be to do that, I wrote down what all of her qualities, her behaviors, her beliefs, her traits, her actions, her habits. I wrote down all of that. And then here's where the brutal reality came in. I did an audit and I said, okay, is 2025 Caitlin and the way that I've been acting in alignment with the version of me that is going to achieve what 2026 Caitlin is planning on achieving? And I was hit in the face with some brutal moments of, oh, that's misaligned. Oop, not doing that. Oh, wow, that needs changing. And then I was looking over my 3D results, if you will, my 3D results from 2025. And I was thinking, you know what? This is not good enough. And I don't say that in a self-deprecating way. I'm not making it mean something about me. This is an important lesson. Maybe I just started the podcast here. This is an important lesson. When you are auditing yourself and your behaviors, it is very important that you don't make it mean something about you. So if you fell short in your performance this year, don't make it mean like you're just this failure that was never meant to succeed. If you fall short in your performance, look at it as an opportunity to grow from it. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that you have some adjustments to do to calibrate to the level that you're trying to get to. So let me just start by saying that. But anyway, I was looking at my 2025 performance and I'm thinking, I made the most spectacular breakthroughs this year on what I was put on this earth to do, on the level of impact that I want to have, on the way that I can physically change lives. I made so many breakthroughs this past year where I became so clear on my mission and so clear in what I want to bring forward that I realized when I bring this work forward, I will be fundamentally changing the life of every single human being that comes across this work forever. And that's not to for the sake of not sounding humble at all, that's not to be like, wow, I'm going to change the world. It's, I was put here with a purpose. And the purpose was, I am going to create a change in the world based upon the information that I am channeling into this world. I don't, I feel like I just made it sound like this whole God complex. I'm not making it seem like that. I just know that the work I'm bringing forward is fucking good and it's going to change people's lives. And I am very grateful and blessed to be the one doing it. And so, with all of that being said, I know that this goal, this mission of mine has become a lot greater than just me. It is not just me wanting to give myself a trophy and a pat on the back for succeeding. I'm not doing this to inflate my ego. I am bringing forward this work because I genuinely believe it's why I was put here on this earth. And there are people's whose lives are going to get changed as a result of being introduced to this work. And I also have finances that once I receive them, I have very specific plans on what I want to do from a philanthropic lens, how I want to give back to the community around me based upon reaching certain levels of income. And as I think about what my work does and what I want to do when when I'm financially compensated for it, I'm like, oh shit. If I keep playing small and I keep having years like 2025 was, I am quite literally doing a disservice to everybody around me because I'm not able to give or change lives in the ways that I know I'm capable of. So the more I keep myself small and the more I become okay with the standard that I've set of playing small, the less the world is changing. Like, it's selfish at this point of me to keep playing small and to stay at this 2025 standard. Because if I stay here, there are people's lives who are never going to change that needed to come across this work or that needed me to be able to give in the ways that I want to be able to give. Like, this is not my life, this is other people's lives at stake. And of course, it's my life too, because I wanna live in alignment with my purpose. I wanna live a great lifestyle. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a girl that, like, I love a good luxury experience. Like, your girl loves to treat herself, and I wanna live a life like that. No shame in that. And there's something so much greater than me that is now attached to what I've realized I was here to do. So, given all of that, I'm looking at 2025 and I'm going, "Oh, so you wanna impact a million people in 2026. You wanna hit a multi six-figure income goal. You wanna hit this amount of money donated to the X, Y, and Z causes. Girl, you gotta step your shit up because right now, you're not getting any of that done. Right now, if you continue at the pace you've been leading your company at for the last 4 years, you're not gonna achieve any of that." And so being so honest with myself and looking myself in the eyes and going, you have a decision to make. Are you going to continue leading your company at this level? Or are you going to say, hey, I, as the CEO, know how impactful this work could be, and your performance review is not up to par. So, respectfully and lovingly, we need to part ways. CEO Caitlin fired head employee Caitlin, if you will, because she wasn't living up to the standard that I know this company is capable of expanding to. And to be honest, I've never felt more liberated. I love the girl that got me here. Don't get me wrong. She has done so much work, and I'll go over some of that in this episode. She's done so much work to get us to where we are, and I'm so grateful for that, and I forever will be. But there comes a point when, just like any other relationship, they came into your life for a reason, they served their purpose, and now it's time to part ways. Now it's time to grow into the next relationship that's supposed to be in your life. I'm doing that with myself. I'm doing that with myself as an employee, with myself as a leader, with myself as a coach. There are standards that need to get raised. And I'm honestly pretty fucking sick and tired of not being at that level. And sometimes, this is a whole other episode that I planned, but sometimes you got to get mad. Like, sometimes you gotta get really angry that you're not where you wanna be because you know what is attached to you succeeding. You know what is attached to you expanding, and you know what is attached to you finally stepping into your highest potential and your highest power. And right now, I'm pissed off and I'm fired up and I'm ready. Oh my God, am I ready for a legendary year? Also, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I just chugged a coffee. So I am like, let's fucking go, baby. We got high energy for this podcast today. So, what I'm going to do today is explain what I was looking over, what I will not be taking forward with me as the CEO moving forward, what I will be continuing to expand on and take forward with me as the CEO, and how I plan on integrating all of this so that I can fire the old me, hire the new me, and live in alignment with it the whole year. So here we go. Let me get out my little list. So I'm going to start with the habits that I will be keeping and expanding upon. Okay. Number one, something that I absolutely fucking crushed in 2025. Also, this episode's gonna be very explicit. I apologize in advance. Something that I am keeping and expanding on in 2025 is putting myself in the goddamn room. For those that have been along this journey the last year, you know that I have put myself in the room to an exponential degree this year. Like, I don't think I'd ever been to a conference or an event or a retreat prior to this. Maybe just local little meetups in San Diego, but it wasn't even entrepreneur centric. And this past year in 2025, I put myself in one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Off the top of my head, nine. Off the top of my head, nine significant rooms. And these are rooms of people that either were where I wanted to be or people that I could genuinely expand me as a human, my consciousness, the level of depth of conversation that I could have with the individuals around me. And every time I stepped into the room, I was practicing being the version of me who I was stepping into, not the version of me who walked into that room. What I mean by that is, and you'll hear me talk about this quite frequently, is if I stepped into a gala and I was going to be networking with other multi six and seven figure individuals, I wasn't stepping in as Caitlin that had just changed her company, or Caitlin that had only been working for 2 years, or Caitlin that was, I don't know, like kind of good at what she did, but kind of not figuring herself out. I wasn't stepping in as that version of me. I was stepping in as Caitlin, CEO, founder, global company, dominating presence. I was stepping in as the version of me where in X number of years. I don't get to decide the timeline, but let's say 5, 10 years down the road, when I have awards attached to my name and my name becomes household recognized, Forbes 30 under 30 list, the whole vibe, I'm stepping into the room as that version of me. And so when people meet me, they meet that energy and they meet that presence. It's me. I'm not pretending to be anybody, but I'm stepping into an expressed version of myself that I'm not fully integrated into yet, but that I'm working on calibrating to. And so every time again, I stepped into a gala, I stepped into a conference, I stepped onto a stage, I stepped into conversation with people that like are wearing designer out the wazoo and have a 7-figure job. Like I'm talking to these people as equals. And that actually goes, I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, but that goes to something that I'm going to stop doing in 2026 is this concept of quote unquote othering myself. I have had a habit up until this past year, and it's something that I will no longer be doing, and I'm not carrying forward with me. So I don't claim this, but I've had a habit my whole life of looking at people that are where I want to be, or looking at people with a certain level of reputation or success, and thinking there was something special about them that I did not inherently have, othering me, making them somebody else, making me somebody else, saying, oh, that's for them, that's not for me. They have this, I don't have that. It's essentially, without meaning to, giving myself an excuse as to why I wasn't at their level yet. I think it was protecting my ego in some way, being like, oh, well, they were born this way. They were born to do this. They were born with influence. And somehow that would protect my ego from feeling fragile in the fact that he didn't have that yet. And all I did was just create a gap between me and them, between me and success every time I did that. And all you do again, like I think it's protecting some primal level of ego on a deep subconscious level. But when you think about that logistically, all you're doing is saying they're better than me. I'm not good enough to be where they are. But the thing is, my goals, especially for 2026, but my goals are aligned with being their peer, with being their equal. And so what I needed to do was not look at them and go, God, how did they get there? What did they do? It must have taken years. It must have taken so long. It must have taken so much sacrifice. They must have invested this, whatever excuse would come to my mind. I stopped doing that. And I started understanding that people that were at a certain level of income, at a certain level of influence, at a certain level of clients, whatever it is, I was looking at them, and what I started to do, I should say, is looking at them as we are equals. We are sitting at the same table. We are having the same conversation. Your dress might be $1,000 more than mine, but that doesn't mean that we have any level of discrepancy between us. Like, we are both here with missions on our heart and with goals and with purposes, and we are both aiming and striving for them at the same capacity, at the same speed, at the same calibration, and we're equals. There's no difference between you and I. We're both here trying to change the world. We're both here trying to spread our work. Just because you have a reputation, just because you have a following, just because you have a level of income, whatever excuse people like to create, just because you have something that I don't doesn't make me inherently better or worse, more worthy, less worthy, however you want to, throw in your own limiting belief here. So, something in 2025 that I noticed myself doing at the beginning that I got tremendously good at not doing by the end, and that I have zero intention of bringing forward with me into 2026 is othering myself from people that are where I want to be. So, again, I just kind of jumbled the what I'm keeping and then what I'm getting rid of. But continuing on with the list, I need everyone to really digest what I just said because I think a lot more people do this than they may realize. It's literally the same concept of if you were sitting in a movie theater next to Leonardo DiCaprio, sure, why not? You can't look at him as anybody different than you. If you're going to a Patriots game and you're sitting next to Tom Brady, you guys aren't any different. Just because one has reputation, one has status, one has money, one has fame, whatever it is, that doesn't make them better or worse than you. We're all humans and we're all here striving to create a change in this world. So that is a concept right there. Don't be othering anybody. Don't be pedestalizing people. You are inherently equally worthy as that individual is over there. And you guys can get to the same place. The sooner you normalize that and the sooner you allow that to really like marinate and digest in your system, the better off you're going to be. Because you're going to stop making it something that's unachievable and you're going to start strategically from a neurological level thinking, okay, this is something I can do. What am I going to do to get there? Instead of, holy shit, how am I supposed to do that? You hear the difference? Okay, great. Another thing that I'm going to continue doing, and I actually just said this, so I'm going to blend it into my past answer, is I got really into the Marilyn Monroe effect this past year. And apparently nobody knows what this is. I've gotten really into it, but every time I say the Marilyn Monroe effect, people have no idea what I'm talking about. The Marilyn Monroe effect is saying that, for those that don't know, Marilyn Monroe would do this thing where she would be walking down the street, average citizen walking down the sidewalk, nobody would notice her. And then she would stop, she would close her eyes, and she would just like, I don't know her exact process, but like snap and turn on this energy of, I am Marilyn Monroe. And as soon as she made the mental shift to change her frequency to becoming Marilyn Monroe, she would continue walking down that same sidewalk, but everybody would be staring. Heads would be turning. People would come up to her and they would just want to shake her hand or ask her a question because suddenly people were magnetized to her energy. It was the celebrity effect, where suddenly she decided to change the way that her energy was presenting into the world and people took notice. It's like if you've ever been to a party or a gathering and there's one person and you, for some reason, just can't stop staring at them. You notice everybody wants to talk to them, everybody wants a piece of them. A lot of people, I think this is the thing with like pretty privilege where they say that pretty people will get things paid for them. People will let them cut in line. People will give them free stuff because they're pretty. People will give them passes, the whole thing. It's the same concept where you're essentially manipulating your energy. And I don't say manipulating in a negative connotation at all, but you're manipulating your energy so that people notice you and people pay attention. And so, with the knowledge of the Marilyn Monroe effect, this past year I decided that when I would walk into these rooms and I would go in as future Caitlin instead of current Caitlin, I would try, let me rephrase that. I hate the word try. Caught myself in a language right there. I would put on my own Marilyn Monroe effect. I would put on my own energy, my own frequency, my own wave of confidence so that when I walked into a room, people knew that I belonged there. Even if I had deep internal limiting beliefs telling me maybe that room didn't make sense for me to be in. And again, this was more beginning of 2025 than the end of 2025. I think by the end of the year, I got really damn good at understanding that there was no othering to be done. But that's when I would turn on my Marilyn Monroe effect and walk in confidently, and I would make incredible connections with people. I would have the most meaningful, deep conversations. Like, truly, I think 2025 must have been the year of just connecting to the most spectacular people. And if I could summarize the year in one theme, maybe that would be it. And it's because I chose to come into the room at a certain energy. And so the Marilyn Monroe effect, combined with not othering myself, combined with continually throughout the year putting myself into the room, that's why I had multiple people come up to me because I worked at a gym in 2025 that I no longer work at. God, do I miss it though? I love that gym to death. I still train there. But I worked there and I taught a strength conditioning class in the evening. And I had a decent amount of travel in the back half of 2025. So I'd be out for a little while, but I'd still be posting on Instagram. I started getting professional photo shoots done for my business for the first time in 2025, started capturing more content, started having more experiences because, again, I was putting myself in the room more. And people at the gym kept coming up to me after I'd be back and they'd say, "Oh my God, where have you been? It seems like you've just been really living your life lately. Like it seems like you've been doing really cool things." And in my head, just because the industry I'm in, I totally normalized it. It's like, "Oh, yeah, I just went to a gala. Oh, yeah, I just went and spoke on a stage in Costa Rica. Like, no biggie." And meanwhile, people are like, "What do you mean? That's not normal. That's kind of a big deal." And it just made me realize, oh, I am not giving myself the credit for the level of, spectacular experiences that I'm creating in my life. I've completely normalized it, which is good because I'll keep doing them. But what I need to do is remember to bring more gratitude to myself for putting myself in the room and these situations. So I don't even know where that fits on the list. I actually can't remember why I started talking about that, but we love a good tangent moment on this podcast. So this is your reminder that as you're doing spectacular things and as you're making these milestone accomplishments, especially as solopreneurs, especially as people leading movements online, we tend to really normalize big moments because, of course, social media is a highlight reel. So all we really see is the highlight reel of other people's businesses. But remember that the world at large, what you're doing inside of this space is not normal. So remember that you are a big deal and that you deserve to celebrate yourself like one. So normalize the fact that you can continue to have these experiences over and over again, but never let the magic or the sparkle of those moments leave you. And I think that's really important. So I will be carrying that forward into 2026 for sure. And I intend to never let that magic fade out. Now, next thing that I really learned a lot from in 2025 was the art of self expression. And this really manifested in two primary ways for me. One, I had a really massive breakthrough in the second half of 2025 on the ability to use my voice and to speak. I started my podcast in its former version. It used to be called The Reformed Athlete. And I started it back in the beginning of 2025, if not the end of 2024. And it was the first time that I really allowed myself to speak on a podcast. And I've always wanted to be a podcaster, but I didn't allow myself to fully lean into it. And I didn't give myself the full permission to express through a microphone. Then in August, the end of August of this past year, I went to an event all about speaking on stages and moving people with your voice, moving people with your words. And that launched me into a very, very incredible experience for the last 4 months about learning how to speak on stages and getting put on multiple stages. I got to speak on 2 stages this past year. I have one, two, three, 4 stages already planned out for 2026 so far. And it's just the beginning. I haven't even been pitching myself yet. So I allowed myself to really lean into the fact that since I was little, I've loved speaking publicly. I've loved speaking on stages. I have loved getting to use my voice. Like it's the flow state for me. I love speaking in front of people, and it's psychotic to most people. Most people hear public speaking and they're like, "What the fuck? You couldn't pay me to do that." And meanwhile, I'm out here screaming, "Give me the microphone. I got something to say." And so I really I really limited myself for such a long time, and I hushed my voice and I stayed shy in a little corner for a long time, not allowing myself to really fully embrace the fact that I want to speak and I want my words to move people and I want that to be the legacy I create and I want that to be how I create a living and how I share this work and the service with the world. And in 2025, I gave myself permission. I put myself in situations. I spoke on stages. I restarted my podcast. I was able to be a guest on other podcasts, interview other people, and I allowed my voice to really, really be heard in a more authentic, express way than I've been able to up until now. So, part of liberating my self expression in 2025 was allowing myself to actually acknowledge that I want to be known for my voice and I want to be known for my words. And it's allowed me to carry into 2026 the fact that I've claimed and stated my stake in the fact that 2026 is the year of my podcast. By the end of 2026, I'm going to have 1 million downloads on this show. And I don't question that. I don't think it's unrealistic. I just know it's going to happen. And I'm so looking forward to the way that it's all going to unfold. So I genuinely cannot wait for the way that this all gets to unfold in 2026. And it's because I gave myself permission to express. It's because I gave myself permission to say, you know what? I've always wanted to be a speaker. Why am I putting it off? So liberation of my voice was part of my self expression from 2025. But another piece of it is in October, and I am about a fifth of the way through right now. No, a third of the way through the actual education of it. I signed up for a 200-hour somatic facilitation certification. So I'm currently getting my somatic facilitation certification. And it is crazy because something my business mentor brought into her mentorship was every month we would do one somatic session where we would release limiting beliefs or blocks or stuck emotions in our body. We would release it and we would liberate it, and we would create momentum and success around how we could utilize this information to grow and expand our businesses. And I remember feeling so disconnected from this. We would go into the body and I would get nothing. I would get no information. My body wouldn't communicate to me at all. She would be guiding us through these somatic facilitations, and I would just, it was like there was a outlet, like a wire that wasn't plugged in or something, because I had no level of communication between my body and between my brain. And for those that don't know me, I am super analytical. So I'm very I understand myself and humans on a very deep level because my brain very naturally is able to think critically and analyze human behavior. So I understand myself on a deep level when it comes to the analytics of it all. But that's only half the equation because a lot of our experience, it stays in our body. And I know this is ironic coming from the founder of body-based scaling, but I only decided to invest in somatic facilitation this year because I realized that I had a dead connection between my body, how I feel, and my expression. And so I decided I was going to invest like 5 figures and 12 months of mentorship into somatic facilitation because I knew that there was a hidden code for me here. I knew that I had to wake up the communication between my body and my mind and my soul and my brain, and that I was holding myself back with codes and information that was trapped in my body that I didn't know how to communicate with. And as I have learned how to facilitate somatically, as I've done more practices, as I've had practices done on me, and as I've learned more about the process of what somatics really is, because I don't do somatic therapy. I'm not a therapist. I make that very, very clear when I talk to people and when I work with people. But that doesn't mean that I can't facilitate somatic liberations, which is really how I use it. It's finding success codes in your body. That's what I do with my clients. And learning how to connect to my body, what it's communicating to me, learning how to listen, learning how it wants to communicate to me has been the most beautiful journey of it's been like learning a new language for the first time. It's like learning a new skill. Like if you've never played pickleball before and you go play pickleball for the first time, your body's still trying to coordinate it. Your mind is wondering what the hell's going on. You feel new. It's not like when you were a professional soccer player growing up and you were crushing it and you were going to college and get scholarships for soccer because you were so good at it. But then you start pickleball and you feel like a baby giraffe and you don't even know how to coordinate yourself and you're so bad at the sport, but you have to keep showing up to get better at it. That's how I felt with somatics. I felt like a master in my mind of analytically understanding human behavior, limiting beliefs, shadow work, why I was doing what I was doing. I feel like I understand that on a deep, 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 deep level. But when it came to communicating with my body, again, there was a dead connection. I was cut off from being able to communicate with it. And so diving into this facilitation and diving into this certification so that I can also help my clients with this, because again, I really think it is I think it's something that is overlooked by many, but is the break through the glass ceiling code to help people get to their next level. I have learned how to really liberate expression in my body, how to dance more, how to be freer, how to listen. I'm somebody that I'm a leaper. I hate making decisions. So I've been able to learn how to tune into my body and become more aware of maybe eh, decisions my body's communicating with me that my mind maybe can't decide on, or information that my body holds intuitively that I want to learn to listen to. It's been a really beautiful year of learning how to express through my body. And that really came to full fruition at the Joe Dispenza retreat that I did at the end of December here in San Diego. I went to it, and he has walking meditations. For those that don't know, you're listening to a guided meditation while you're walking. And 2,000 people at this event, and we were all walking in like like a quarter mile radius of each other at this little park. Most people are just walking on the sidewalk. I was full on dancing. I was dance walking. My arms were up in the air. I was jumping up and down. I was moving my hips. Like, I was getting so into expressing my body through movement during these walking meditations because I didn't give a flying fuck what anybody around me thought. It also was a very nurturing, loving, accepting environment. So I didn't feel like I was going to be judged by the people attending a Joe Dispenza retreat. But I was definitely one of maybe 10 people of the 2,000 that were choosing to walk and express and liberate themselves in that way. And I didn't care who looked at me because I felt so connected with my body. And obviously, there was the factor of being in a meditation and being connected to source and all of that. But I found myself really, my tension during those meditations was, I'm going to express however my body wants to express, and I'm not going to let the fear of being seen or perceived by others be my limiting factor here. And it was very liberating. So I learned how to express through my body. I learned how to let go of the fear of being perceived by others. And that also translated into being able to speak on stages more and claim my title, my stake as a public speaker. So that has been a massive part of 2025 that I continue to only expand and grow on going into 2026. And what I'm going to change, because again, I fired old me and I've hired new me. New me is shamelessly claiming her title and shamelessly pitching herself into bigger stages and bigger arenas. I think I got really good at accepting that I want to be a speaker. And I mean, you guys have heard me this episode. I already told you I'm going to have a million streams. I am going to be speaking on more stages. And now I'm going to shamelessly pitch myself onto more stages going into 2026, on more podcasts, more interviews, whatever it is, because I inherently know that I'm worthy of that and that I deserve that position. So that is a major way self expression is being carried forward into 2026, is asking for what I think I deserve, asking to be put in bigger arenas, allowing the perception and being seen to come with it. And again, just feeling less fear of judgment from those around me in the ways that I choose to show up and physically express myself. It's a huge one. I think if you're resonating with that to any degree, listen to that whole section again, because it's a level of freedom I don't think I knew I needed until I did it. So maybe this is when you look into somatic facilitation. Maybe this is when you look into doing some more dancing. I mean, obviously, I guide somatically, so you can get into my world. Just send me a message on Instagram if this is vibing with you. But at the end of the day, being able to fully express yourself is a cheat code, not just in life, but in business too. It will help you scale your movement and your mission that much more. The last thing that I definitely will be carrying over with me, and it's 111 as I say that, the last thing I will be carrying over with me into 2026 that I loved from 2025 was my habit of meditating daily. Ever since March 14th of 2025, I meditated consistently every single day, typically no less than 45 minutes, but sometimes it would be a 5 or a 15-minute one here and there, all the way through 7.5 months. So I think through September. At the end of September, things got a little bit dicey. I lost the every single day consistency habit, but then I came back around to it full circle at the end of the year. And I've been doing 2, if not 3 meditations every single day since the week-long Joe Dispenza retreat for the last near month now. So I will absolutely be carrying forward the daily meditation habit. It is the best way to get your mind set on what you want to step into from an identity perspective that day. Is the best way to get your energy, your heart, and your brain in alignment with being in a peaceful state. And I find that it opens creation and expression up on a different level. So for me personally, that is a non negotiable habit that I will be carrying forward with me every single day in 2026. And that's not something where I'm going to be okay if I miss a day. Of course, sometimes, people can't be perfect. And I say that all the time. Don't be an all or none girly. Meditation is the one thing where I'm going to view it like hygiene. You would never go a day without brushing your teeth. You could never go to the bathroom and not wash your hands after. That's how I'm going to be viewing my relationship with meditation. There will not be a day that goes by that I do not do it because it is a form of hygiene for my energy. So 2026, I will be carrying that forward and I will be making sure that I'm not half-assing it and that I'm allowing my experience to be what it is and not trying to force it to be something that I want it to be. And I can expand on that in a different episode if you guys would like me to. Now, habits that I am saying sayonara to in 2026 that cannot come forward with me. I hate saying this one out loud, and I'm just going to be so real about that because this is one of the main things I coach people on. And I'm not saying I don't do this all the time, but I'm saying there is a higher, I want to phrase this, the number of times that I've said I'm going to follow through on something all the way to the end and I haven't is not okay with me because that's truly one of the main lessons that I help my clients with and that I'm able to coach and guide people through. And I am not okay with not walking the walk. I cannot talk the talk without walking the walk, especially as a high level performance coach. That's not okay with me. So, in my opinion, doing that once is too many times. That is also something that I view as a non negotiable standard. If I say I'm going to do something, I will follow it through to the end. If it needs to evolve along the way and change shape, that's okay. But if I set an intention to run a certain program, to do a 30-day challenge for some reason, to bring forward a piece of work, whatever it is, I will follow it through to the end and there will be no stopping me. I realized that one of my blocks in my body and one of my limiting beliefs would keep me from finishing things through to the end because I had a deeply internalized fear of failure. And I was worried if I saw something through to the end and it didn't manifest in the way that I had originally said it to, that I would feel like a failure. And so my ego would protect me from failing by not following the thing all the way through to begin with. Just so ironic if you think about it. So, something I'm doing is getting out of my own damn way and following through on absolutely every single thing that I say that I'm going to. And there are no ifs, ands, or buts about that. That's probably the main thing that I fired Caitlin of 2025 for is I will follow things through. I will follow them through with excitement. I will follow them through with a sense of discipline and I will follow them through with full authority. We are not half assing and we are not quitting things early. That is a standard we don't take forward and we do not claim going into 2026. So, sorry, Caitlin of 2025. That was the main thing in your performance review that got you fired. Another thing that I'm saying bye bye to in 2026 is scrolling. Holy moly. It's something everybody says. Everybody says they want to scroll less. And I will go through phases where I don't scroll at all because I've told myself that I won't. And the level of freaking clarity and the weight of my energy and the cognitive space that I have when I don't scroll is just so exponentially better that I can't believe I ever go back to scrolling. I genuinely cannot believe I ever let myself scroll given how good I feel when I don't scroll. I think it's like someone that's trying to change their ways from a dietary perspective and they're like, okay, I'm not going to eat added sugar. And then they do really great at it for a while. And then one day they have an Oreo and it just completely spirals into, weeks of eating fast food and takeout and processed foods and everything. And they're like, man, I felt so much better and clearer and later. And I slept better and I had better cognitive health and my mental health was better when I wasn't eating that. But then I had a slip up, if you will. And now I can't stop eating it and just fully indulging and spiraling in all of the foods that don't make me feel my best. And mind you, that is why, as a strength and conditioning coach that is also a nutritionist, I always tell people we do not do 100-0. We are like an 80-20, 90-10 type of vibe over here, where the majority of the time you're going to eat the foods that align with your goals. And then like 10 to 20% of the time, you allow yourself the wiggle room for imperfections and for, simply eating foods off of enjoyment. So there will be times, I'm going to apply that same thing to scrolling. There will be times where, sure, I could scroll on TikTok for a couple minutes if I'm like in the airport waiting for a flight to take off, or, I'm in a waiting room or something and I've got nothing else to do, whatever. But if it's the middle of a workday, I'm at home, I need to record a podcast, I need to make a landing page, I need to create an email campaign, I need to create a social media post, I need to email the guests coming on my podcast, I need to create workouts, whatever it is. There's a 0% chance in hell that 2026 Caitlin will be scrolling on TikTok. We will not be avoiding and procrastinating with scrolling on social media. Absolutely the fuck not. We will not be scrolling on social media for inspiration around the type of content to create. Ew, no. This is coming from inside. If we are stuck in a creative rut, we're closing our eyes and we are meditating. We are not looking for inspiration on social media. We are so far past that point. Okay? Fellow online entrepreneurs, you understand what I'm saying when I say that. I am being stern about that. We're not carrying that forward into 2026. And in general, like, I don't need to be scrolling while I'm brushing my teeth. I don't need to be scrolling while I am walking from room to room. I don't need to check Instagram out of pure habit when I get up and change activities. Like, once you stop scrolling, you're going to notice all of the little times throughout the day that you reach for your phone for no purpose. You're not even trying to go on social media. You just reach it and open it because it's a fucking habit. We're ending that. No more in 2026. We are creating more space for universe to communicate with us by not having so much mental fog between us and the phone. All right? Okay. That's a huge, like, no scrolling allowed at work type mentality here for CEO of my company in 2026. Okay? Another thing that we will be changing in 2026 that was not consistent in 2025 was morning and evening routines. I don't know what it's going to look like yet. I'm still developing what I want it to look like, but I'm really sick of not having an association with how I start my day and how I wind down my day. I will say that since I went to the Joe Dispenza meditation or the week-long retreat about a month ago, I have gotten up and done an hour-long meditation every morning since then. So I typically leave my house at like 5:40 in the morning to go to the gym and train in the morning. So I will very proudly with my whole chest say that for the past 3 weeks, I've been waking up at 4:30 and doing an hour meditation before I go to the gym because I know that when I get home, I'm not going to do an hour meditation. I have too much other stuff to do. So I'm essentially getting ahead of my excuses and just choosing a time in the day that works better for me to do the hour-long meditation because it's very important to me and it's a high priority. So I guess you could say that's a morning routine, but I think I have ways that I could crisp it up and I could sharpen it to make it a little bit more effective. And then from an evening routine perspective, I don't know if I want that to be a pre-bedtime routine or a closing out my workday routine, but I need some sense of ritual around getting into work mode and then getting out of work mode. Because anybody that works from home or is an entrepreneur understands it's very hard to create boundaries with when you're working and when you're not working. And I think those boundaries need to be a lot clearer. As the CEO, I'm saying that this year I want to know that in the hours I'm working, I'm fully working. And in the hours I decide to be logged off, I'm fully logged off. I don't want this fluxy gray in between area anymore dictating my energy and my life because it's not allowing me to show up my best for my clients. It's not allowing me to show up my best for my business. And it's totally taking away from my quality of life as an individual that is not the CEO. So I'm somebody that loves to work. I work pretty much 7 days a week because I choose to, unless I have a reason not to. And I love indulging in my work. I love hustling for my work. I love grinding for my work. I view that as genuinely an act of love towards what I'm creating. But that being said, I need better boundaries for my own like energetic sake. It's an energetic boundary more than it is anything else. And it's just going to allow me to be more present and to turn my brain off and on so that it can function at a higher level when it's on and it can just completely rest and recover when it's off. So if you're an entrepreneur and or you work from home, really recommend looking into that one. Okay. And again, closing it out with a ritual, I think is going to be the way that my brain associates, okay, we're done. We've started. We're done. We've started. We've done. We've started. It's a little tongue twister there. Okay, the last thing that we are not carrying forward into 2025 and that 2025 Caitlin got fired for is I'll do it later. I'll do it later syndrome. Oh, I just had a thought. Okay, I'll do that later. Oh, yeah, I'll get to that tomorrow. Oh my gosh, tomorrow's never to come. Later's never going to come. I think this is like an ADHD procrastination thing I've learned, but we are not pushing things off until later. As soon as a thought enters my mind of something that I need to do, and in that moment I think, oh my God, I can't, I don't want to. Ugh. I am implementing the 5-second rule. I have 5 seconds to determine one action I can take to get closer to doing that task. If I need to send an email, maybe I go into Gmail and I start an email and I fill out the subject line. If I need to send a text to a client, maybe I just pull up Telegram and I type their name in. If I need to do something administratively, maybe I just pull up my administrative software onto my desktop. I don't have to be responsible for following through on the action in that moment, but I'm giving myself 5 seconds to create a momentum moving forward into getting one step closer to following through on that action of whatever it is that I said I wanted to do, quote unquote, later. Because procrastination is just it's you avoiding something for whatever reason. You're making something mean something about you, and so you want to avoid it and do it later. And I am I don't identify as this now, formerly the queen of that, particularly responding to text messages. If any of my friends are listening to this, they are laughing their asses off right now because they know that that is my kryptonite of kryptonites. There is no greater kryptonite for me than text messages and responding to texts. So, if you're my friends, I love you so much. I'm so sorry. 2026, I'm going to be better at responding to you guys, but it's because I procrastinate and I look at a text and I get a visceral response and I don't want to respond to it in the moment. So I say, I'll do it later. We're not doing that anymore. We're owning our shit. We're getting more responsible for taking immediate action because the more you allow yourself to procrastinate even the small activities like texting a friend or sending an email or the bigger activities like coordinating a meeting with a team or getting guests on the podcast or recording a podcast or whatever it is, whether it's a small or a big activity, the more you allow the energy of procrastination to become normalized in your environment, hello, you're going to become someone that procrastinates everything. You're going to become someone that says they'll do everything later. Yes, you'll respond to the text later, but pretty soon that becomes, I will coordinate that event later. And then you never throw the event. Or I will get that ad sent up and then you never get the ad sent up and you miss a ton of leads that need to get into your world. We are not allowing the energy of procrastination and I'll do it later to run and dictate our lives anymore. And that is something that 2025 Caitlin was so miserably good or bad at, depending on how you want to look at it. She was great at procrastinating. She was bad at following through immediately, and it put her in some really shitty situations. So 2026, we are not claiming that energy anymore. We are not procrastinating anymore. We are taking 5-second actions to see if that momentum can lead us onto a different track in terms of following through on the action itself. And we are in general just going to be more on top of our shit. So that is a 47-minute summary of what I'm leaving behind in 2025 because I got fired and what I'm taking forward with me in 2026 because the bigger, better, more embodied version of me got hired. As a CEO that has a mission on her heart that is genuinely going to change the lives of millions of people, I don't take this lightly. And the standard has to level up if I want to level up the impact that I'm creating. And if I want to level up the level of a woman that I'm helping, the level of human being that I'm help scaling her business, yes, right now I'm really good at giving the advice, but I need to be even better at following it. And that's going to help me be more of an embodied coach, more of an embodied leader. And it's going to help me create a way more potent experience for my clients. And it's just going to create a better impact overall. And my impact and my purpose is what I care about more than anything on this planet. So I'll do anything it takes. I will do anything it takes to get this word out there. So I appreciate you guys so much for sticking through this whole episode with me. My solo episodes are not normally this long, but I had a lot to say today. So that is the vibe going into 2026. If you agree with it, go ahead. You know what to do. Send me a message on Instagram at FitByKP. I love having conversations with you guys about this podcast. Go ahead, rate it 5 stars wherever you are listening to. Give it a review, send it to a friend, download it, whatever you need. You guys heard me. I'm going for 1 million downloads this year. And if you're listening to this and you download your episode, amazing. You have helped contribute to my biggest goal of the year. And that means the world to me. So if you get any value out of these episodes, go ahead, hit the download button. You're helping me achieve my goal. You're helping more people find this work, and you're helping the world become a better place because women who are mission led are figuring out how to expand to an even greater level of impact. So, this, you guys understand, is my reason for getting fired and for getting rehired this year. And any possible way you want to contribute is so appreciated. I love you guys. I'm so excited for the way the podcast is going to expand and evolve this year. And I'm very grateful to have you on the mission, on the journey with me.